Welcome to the StockPulse.com Commodity Brief. Today's Commodity Brief brought to you by Golden Arrow Resources. Golden Arrow trades as GRG on the Toronto Venture Exchange, GARWF, the OTCQB in the States. They've currently commenced a diamond drill program at the Tierra Dorado Gold Project in Paraguay. Currently doing some field work at the Rosales Copper Project in Chile. Golden Arrow Resource will keep an eye on their progress. Okay, we're in early October, pretty busy news flow week here. First one up on the list, BTU Metals. That's BTU on the Venture, BTUMF on the OTC in the States, as they announced some drilling here at the Dixie Halo Project in Red Lake, adjacent to Great Bear Resources. I caught up with CEO Paul Wood. He ran through the highlights of the program.
BTU, we've got 200 square kilometers, pretty much surrounding Great Bear in Red Lake, and we've been setting the table all summer with a full team on the ground doing IP and doing till sampling, where we got great samples with a whole bunch of pristine grains. So we've also overlaid artificial intelligence, so there are lots and lots of targets here. Earlier, a couple of weeks ago, we just announced a strategic investor out of Europe, so we're totally well funded to keep drilling here for the next several months.
What are some of the finer details of the program, Paul?
Well, we've got a stretch of land which is kind of what we consider similar to the LP fault that Great Bear has. So over 10 kilometers where we're getting gold in till, gold at surface, a little bit of gold underground. And our job is just to keep drilling until we find something. And hopefully that's sooner rather than later. But like I said, with this new strategic investor, we got lots of runway here. And Bruce Durham, our VPX, is going to be running this program, and the rest of the team will remain on the ground and surfacing new drill targets. So we're just going to keep ahead of the drill. People ask me how many meters, how many holes, and what I tell them is this is an open-ended program at this point. So we expect just to have lots of news flow over the next several months.
We'll certainly keep our eye on the wire for that. Anything else you want to impart to investors here, Paul?
There's one more thing I'd like to add for our U.S. and international investors is that we've just announced that we've become DTC eligible, so that will make life a lot easier for anybody looking to trade the stock south of the border and around the world.
We'll keep our eye on BTU there for those results when they start to come out there. Next one up on the list here, Nighthawk Gold. Nighthawk trades as NHK on the Toronto Stock Exchange, MIMZF on the OTCQX in the States as they expand the high-grade zone 3.5 at Colamac. Caught up with Dr. Michael Byron. He ran through the significance of the news.
Yeah, these are the first holes that we've put out since we had our COVID break, right? So, you expect the news flow to increase in pace from this point forward because we're getting more results back every day. So we're kind of pumped about that, right? To get this thing rolling again. But this was all about these holes, these 5 holes that we're reporting this morning is all about expanding Zone 3.5. And Zone 3.5, for those that don't remember or have never heard the story, it's part of the Colamac deposit, the Colamac sill that lies to the south, and it's another high-grade opportunity. We've talked a lot about Zone 1.5 as being sort of the largest and the most expansive high-grade area that we today. Well, Zone 3.5 is a smaller target, but equally as important because as we've talked about before, these higher grade areas allow us to start thinking about getting underground via ramp driving operations. So basically getting deeper into the system and getting our hands on more ounces other than you would as a typical open pit, right? So this was all about that. So two of the 4 holes that we drilled were into the guts of Zone 3.5. One in particular, hole C2004, was drilled to the south end, and this was a really interesting area because we didn't have any holes into this area previously, so it was basically filling a gap in our drill density to depth, but also addressing some of that exploration target that we talked about in our previous news releases. That was spawned from our mineral resource estimate, where the authors had proposed that with 50 to 75,000 more meters of drilling, you could add upwards of 1.5 million ounces to your resource in these areas. So obviously we're trying to tackle some of that in what's left to 2020, and these 2 holes were targeted into those areas. So as I said, this first hole, 2004, was in the southern section, and was a good hit. We had multiple intersects down the hole, but the highlight was the lowest intercept where we had 66.5 meters of 2.15 grams and 18 meters of 4.42, and then a nice high grade little interval of 5.75, almost 8 grams. But the carrying point here was, wow, we added mineralization to depth, another 230 meters. Beyond where previous drilling was. So it really opened up this area, and more importantly, it expanded it in width to the south, where she remains open. The other hole, C2007, was just tackling the northern end of zone 1.5, tracing the mineralization down plunge and trying to extend it in that dimension as well, which we were successful in doing. So both holes gave us what we were looking for. We still have a lot of work to do in this zone. So we have holes that are queued up to be released in the not too distant future that continue this theme of expanding this higher grade area as well. Then the two holes that we drilled, the C2005 and 05B, they're shallow holes that we had targeted a new style of mineralization we ran into last year when we drilled a couple of holes in that area. And really, those two holes we drilled last year were just to test the up plunge extension of zone 3.5 to the south that had never been drilled before, and we drilled into these rich quartz veins. So we got high grade numbers out of quartz veins that are sitting outside the typical host of the ore body at Colmac, just sitting, which is the quartz diorite. So this is the part of the sill that sits below the quartz diorite. We call it quartz gabbro, and it's typically never mineralized, or if it is, it's very weakly mineralized. So this is something that was really interesting to me because typically when you look at deposits, anywhere in the world, you do find secondary deposit styles that can trend off the main bodies, and this is we're hoping is an example of that because they're shallow and high grade. So these two holes that we drilled were a 50-meter step out to the south in areas we'd never drilled before. This is all part of that 2 kilometers south of the Colmac main sill that we haven't touched at all, and so this is a sort of venturing forth and trying to tackle that area and chasing mineralization, because we're hoping that these intercepts can lead us into something juicy, right? So these were successful. These holes were also successful in hitting high-grade quartz vein mineralization to the south. So let's queuing it up for next year, and we'll get some more rigs in there and get busy and see what we can find.
Well, certainly a good piece of news for Nighthawk. We'll keep our eye on them. Next one up on the list here, Bonterra Resources. That's BTR in the venture, BONXF, OTCQX in the States. They discover a new high-grade vein on their Panache property at the Urban Berry region. Caught up with interim CEO Pascal Hamelin, and he ran through the highlights for investors.
In 2019, we acquired a claim from a prospector. It's on the northern portion of the Urban Berry Greenstone camp, the Greenstone belt, but it's in the Urban Berry camp. It's in the north range of it. There was a showing on this property. So later on, we did a geophysics campaign, and we identified another prospective sector on the geophysics map, showing there was something a little bit further north. So we went to excavate it this summer, and there it was. There was a quartz vein, going east-west, a little bit to the south, but about a meter wide, and it's very, very clear. And our geologist did some grab sample, like nice grade for surface showing, and actually we did some channel sampling, and there it was. So now we're the next phase. We're going to start that immediately. We're going to get the permit in place so we can bring diamond drills, and we're going to test that at depth. So a very, very nice discovery, and we know there's a lot to discover in that camp because it's pretty young. So it's very exciting.
Okay, certainly check back in when Bonterra has some more news to report. Next one up here, we got Cabral Gold. Cabral Gold trades as CBR in the Toronto Venture Exchange, CBGZF, the OTC in the States. They report channel sample results of 5.3 meters at 24 grams per ton gold at the Jeramoom North target at the Kuyu Gold District. Got up with the president and CEO, Alan Carter, and he ran through the highlights for investors.
Yeah, I think, Rob, the results that we got today are excellent. It's a brand new vein structure on the property. We have channels results today that returned 5.3 meters at 24 grams a ton. So it's a wide, high-grade vein structure. It's a brand new structure that we've not previously drill tested. This comes pretty close on the heels of 6 new veins high-grade veins that we announced last week. And of course, we already have multiple targets here, high-grade drill targets, and we already have 1 million ounces spread between 2 deposits. So it's an emerging district with lots of upside.
And what are the next steps from here, Alan?
Well, we're currently, we've just kicked off a 25,000 meter drill program. We've just added a second rig. So we will have 2 rigs running here in short order. And the plan is to tackle at least 10 drill targets. At least that was the plan a couple of weeks ago, but we've just added several new drill targets on top of that. So I think we're going to be drilling here for the next 6 months at least, Rob, with at least 2 drill rigs. And so what that means is there's multiple potential catalysts in terms of news flow.
Okay, appreciate that update from Cabral Gold. Moving on here, Etruscus Resources, that's ETR and the CSE, as they start drilling the newly identified large magnetic plus chargeability stardust anomaly at Rock and Roll in Northwest BC. Got up with CEO Gordon Lam. Here's what he had to say about the news.
Etruscus Resources owns 2 properties in the BC Golden Triangle called the Rock and Roll Project as well as the Sugar Project. The Rock and Roll Project already has an existing deposit on it called the Black Dog deposit. We acquired it in 2018, and we've taken a different approach in developing the project. The existing system is a VMS system that's gold and silver rich, and what we've done that no other previous owner has done in the past 30, 40 years is expand the size of this system. And so we've identified areas that have potential for more mineralization, another pod in the system. And, we're currently drilling, and we're looking to find that next pod in that system to expand our resource. We're currently drilling various different targets, including brown sugar, the Wall, Angie, and Black Dog as well. And with today's news release, we've introduced a new target called the Stardust target that has a combined magnetic, IP, and resistivity anomaly that we're really excited about because it is close to drilling that Seabridge Gold is doing, just about 13 kilometers away. They're doing a sizable program of up to 8,000 meters at what's called the Quartz Rise target. So we see a lot of similarities between the two projects, and we're excited to be drilling that currently.
Yeah, I imagine you are. I'd be too. What are the finer details of the program, Gordon?
We are looking to do about 4 to 6 deep holes. It'd be close to 2,000 meters. It's not, and when we're looking to possibly expand it depending on our results, because we are at a low elevation, rather than in a mountainous area, we could actually drill as later into the season, into November as well. Whereas most companies around us usually end their season around mid-October. So yeah, we could expand it beyond the 2,000 meters if we see the results that we're looking for.
Okay, we'll certainly keep our eye on ETR there. Good update, Gordon Lam. Moving on here. Next up, Pacific Empire Minerals Corporation. That's PEMC on the venture. They sample 8.79 grams per ton gold and expand mineralized zones at Jean Marie. Got up with CEO Brad Peters. He laid out the highlights.
I think for us, the most significant component here is the fact that we keep getting gold, and over what seems to be now a pretty significant area. When we originally, looked into this property and optioned it, it was, as I think I'd mentioned this before, that it was probably best characterized as a copper molybdenum system. And we always felt that, given its location just to the west of Mount Milligan and to the south of our Pinnacle property, being located in a copper gold belt, that we should have a pretty hard look at the gold potential on this property. Historical operators did, in a sense, look at the gold, although the focus was copper moly. The analysis that they were doing and the cutoff there for gold was so high, really, that it didn't provide the information that we really wanted. So this summer we've done a pretty extensive, had a pretty extensive look here at the different zones on the property, stepped out from those zones, and sampled a number of areas. And I think what that demonstrates to us is that there's a very significant gold footprint here. And as you mentioned, we just put out the recent news here again where 8.79 grams gold. Interestingly, we're starting to see pretty high silver numbers here too. That same sample with the 8.79 grams gold had just under 3 ounces of silver and just about 1.75% copper. So we are seeing the gold and the silver values on this property as being quite significant now.
And what's next from here, Brad?
Next is drilling. Quite simply, we expect a permit here any day now, and everybody's the drill's in good shape. We're up at the Wheaton there now, so to mobilize from there to the Jean Marie won't take us more than a day. So once that comes in, we'll let everybody know, and we'll mobilize and get drilling here on the Jean Marie property. And with that drill program, we intend to really here to start out at the A zone, where the last time that area was drilled was in the early 70s. Very nice drilling in there. 29 meters of 0.53 copper. One of the northernmost holes. They just basically drilled that fence and then proceeded to the south. That entire zone at the A zone there, that drill-defined deposit, still wide open. So deepest drilling there is 92 meters. So we're going to take it deeper, and we're going to extend it to the north and just see how big the deposit there at the A zone really is. And in addition to that, demonstrate that there's gold with the copper at the A zone.
Okay, we'll certainly look forward to checking back in when Brad has some results there. Last one up here, we've got Brixton Metals. That's BBB on the venture, BBB XF OTC in the States, as they have some nice samples from surface, the Langus project, and mobilize a drill of the site. Got up with CEO Gary Thompson, and he ran through the highlights for investors.
So what we did is in 2018 and earlier in this year, 2020, we drilled a series of holes around. And our strategy has been just to look at some of the historical workings and where they pulled some high grade, we do have some underground drilling results. So really just following up on those, and we encountered some really nice high grade silver intercepts, quite shallow enough, in fact, when we projected these to surface through the 3D model, we said, well, why don't we just go trench around this shaft number 3? And if you keep in mind, back in the history there was all the buildings and the mill and the shaft head and buildings were here, so they weren't doing any exploration right around the shaft. So we projected those to surface, and lo and behold, we opened up some nice native silver mineralization at surface, which is what we announced on a 0.4 meter of a trench that ran 3,100 grams silver and 10% cobalt, and then within that there were some nice select grab samples that ran as high as 6,100 grams silver, almost 17% cobalt. So pretty spectacular. Native silver at surface, right next to an old mine. So now we've got drills mobilized in there to start drilling, and we're going to be having a fairly high density. I think about 15 to 20,000 meters is planned over the winter months, with a goal of putting together a initial maiden high-grade silver resource, which has never been done here. So they mined at the Langus project. They mined 10.6 million ounces of silver. Historically, they're shut down in 1989. Agnico Eagle was the operator. And in fact, this was the last mine to operate in the cobalt camp in 1989. So we believe there's still mineralization available. And some of the old timers keep telling us that there was ore in the floor, is what they say. So we're going to go and see if we can put together a nice high grade resource, and so it'll be something to watch, I think, over the winter months for us. So we're pretty excited about that.
We'll keep our eye on Brixton Metals. That'll do it for this week's StockPulse.com Commodity Brief. If you're a fan of the information, please like and share the broadcast. Back next week for more CEO commentary on the bigger news of the week.